think it's going to be all right now. I think it's going to be all right now. Right. I hope so anyway. We're now on both channels at the same time. Hello Ian, how are you this evening? Long time no hear. And it's a little bit sticky in here. I'm just wondering, maybe I should be putting the fan on. I hope it doesn't. You can tell me whether, is that affecting the sound? The fan on in the background there. What's the topic? Almost drunk. Almost drunk, I like that. What's the topic? Almost drunk. Well, the topic is whatever anybody wants to do, but I have noticed that this, having looked at a few video channels that I've occasionally followed, there's a link. It was interesting, the reaction on Philippine antics this evening, or should I say this afternoon. Certainly Heidi had no praise whatsoever to the likes of Rose and Randy, who are obviously trying to do a little bit of maybe, how would you call it, damage control. And right, you don't follow what? Rose and Randy, or you don't follow Philippine antics? Well, anyway, Philippine antics were in their corn hub. Oh, right, okay. And both, right, okay, both. Well, we won't talk about them then, but they are a topic of conversation at the moment on a number of channels, including my own. Not sure whether I've got it on Grumpy or not. I think I do. Hello, Reiko. How are you? Right. Well, it's 5:30 in the evening here. I've just spent today, really, I suppose, organising the sending of some important documents to the UK for a fellow expat who was asking for me to possibly go and do a little bit of legwork for him, which I do. You need a moderator. Do I? How do I do that? Do I advertise for one? I need a moderator. Okay. I don't think. Now, the thing is, I've got Shadowlight says hi. Hello. Hi. And anyway, back to what we are. Anyway, I'm John. And on this one here, when I'm looking at the camera now, that's Grumpy Brit. And this one here is John, British expat in the Philippines. So now you know us both. Mr. Starbucks, Mr. Starbucks, hello. And Cybele Dijon, where are you from? I'm originally from the UK, where I emigrated to New Zealand and eventually took up Australian citizenship back in the early 70s, I think it was. So I've been around quite a bit, but I also went back when I was 50 back to the UK and lived there for about 6 years and carried out the trade of being a loft conversion carpenter builder. Elite 5 stars. Hello, Elite 5 stars. You click on their names and add moderator. Right, so if I do that, add as moderator, managing, there we are. Ian living in the Philippines, now a moderator. Hi, Liam. Now, how do I know he's a moderator? Because he's a moderator. And if we go on there, hello, John. We'll do the same on there. And we'll go up there and add as moderator. I've just discovered something new. Thank you, Ian, for putting me on there. You're now moderator on both channels. I'm not sure what that means, but I hope whatever it does, it achieves what you believe should be happening. Wow. Oh, that's right. So you've come up in blue. Sibel de Jean, greetings from Europe, Portugal. Portuguese. I don't know any Portuguese. Hello, Jay. Hi there. Watching you since you started those wisdom of the day talks. The wisdom of the talk. Hello, Reiko. How are you? Anyway, we're on you both. So I suppose I've got to try and remember to look at the comments on both channels. Right, wait, do you have a twin? Because I see the old man like you look both a twin. I do, Reiko. I'm on both channels. I'm what they call a simulcast. Now, the reason for that is it gives both people, both channels, a chance to experience alive with me. Wow, that would be interesting. Anders, hello, Anders. How are you? There's any Swedes in the area? Only, I think, in the fridge at the moment. But we're always hopeful that somebody like you, Anders, joins us. And Jay says something in. Oh, there we are. Somebody said it, or Inga Schwitzenter. Yes, Jay, DJ Khan, laugh out loud. Hi, Anders. Watching from Cooper Pedy. Oh, wow. Rodney Stewart. Now, that's interesting. Rodney Stewart. I've been to Cooper Pedy. That's a very interesting town. I will say a town because it's not a city. Those that know where Cooper Pedy is, it's in South Australia. And it's a mining town where most of the people live underground. It becomes very, very hot. And they mine for opals. That's what they go there for. And there's some very interesting hotels there now over the years that are underground. I think there was a Greek guy, maybe Rodney can tell us, there was a Greek guy that wanted to set up, and he and his father originally dug out in Cooper Pedy like a hotel. They went down underground and sort of all set up, ready to establish a hotel underground. But I have a feeling they ran out of money. Maybe they hadn't been looking for opals yet. He's 5 minutes older than me. Watching from Cape Town, South Africa. Welcome, welcome. Wow, that's a long way away. Where did I see something from? Actually, saw something about South Africa on the news the other day, Blossom. It was about an elephant seal. Obviously, it decided that it was going to have a sunbake on them amongst the normal population. And they had to release it. I could see them releasing it in the bay underneath the shadow of Tabletop Mountain. So that was interesting the other day, trying to explain to a Filipino what that was. And I was saying that they can be extremely dangerous, especially at mating season. I think it was definitely an elephant seal. Right. So Anders is talking German to our moderator, so we'll leave him chatting away there happily. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. What we have to do is we're trying to, well, I think we should be, because it's about time. Ian's been sitting there twiddling his thumbs for a while. Yes, Ian, you have. And I think all of those that are watching, if you aren't already watching as a subscriber to Ian living in the Philippines, I suggest that you go and click on his channel Give him a thumbs up regardless of what he's showing, and subscribe to him so that he can get some more people to see his wit, humour and good looks. I think he's starting to lose a little bit of encouragement that he believes, or I tend to think that maybe he should not pay so much attention to it. You know, it will grow naturally, but I'm also feel that I'd like to help. If there's somebody there that's fed up of looking at my face and wants to look at Ian's, I would say that that would be a good idea. Rick, I'm dangerous. Rick, I'm dangerous in mating season also. Yeah, but you're not an elephant seal, Rick. So that's the difference, you see. Record 101. Hello, Fred. How are you today? Don't tell Ian I'm here. Well, actually, Ian's followed you. Just he's two comments down. I look more handsome, laughed out loud. Yes, you do. I'll agree with that. You're old, but you handle 19-year-old women. You're old, but can you handle 19-year-old women? Handle. Handle sounds a bit like a wish or an achievement. Which one you are talking about, I'm not sure. But my two stepchildren back in New Zealand, they were definitely 19 plus, 23 and 25, I think. So I suppose the answer would be yes. Doing a good job, John and you. Yes. Well, we hope so, Fred. But sometimes we can, when you get a bit of a lull in a channel, it can be a little bit, how do we put it, discouraging. It is a hard job to come up with interesting comment or interesting thoughts for the day. And in a way, everybody does a thought for the day, even the likes of our multi-mega stars, Stephen. What was it? In the eyes of a British expat. I still haven't got my head around how a channel can have 21,000 subscribers and have 175,000 views periodically over the last 5 weeks or so, I suppose. I know you can hit the subject matter and it can go viral. But when you look at the average video over a week, it's around the 5,000 to 7,000, which is healthy anyway. But you have to ask yourself, how does it jump so high? And before you say it, it's not about jealousy. It's just, how is he able to achieve it? Okay, he's an average English guy who talks with a northern accent, and he doesn't stick to one subject. He weaves a half a dozen, even a dozen different subjects into his video. Now, each and every one of those videos that he does are interesting. I will give you that. But I've said before, he's a very good storyteller. I believe he used to be a teacher, or he certainly does teaching online now. And one wonders if that skill has been acquired by having that, I suppose, what we would have called the gift of the gab. So anyway, Ian's Clips and Bits. Hello, Ian. How are you today? Good evening to me. 10 more days and I will be back seeing my wife for a month. Only a month? You'll be busy. That's good. And here we are on this side. Rick, I'm dangerous. Right. Anyway, I suppose what I'm getting at is that I think it was Ian was telling me once about how there was a hallway, and in that hallway there's like 100 mobile phones on the wall, and I believe it was in India. And what they do is they sell views and subscribers, and they literally go along the wall feeding the information that's required on the various channels, and the people go out there and buy it. Now, of course, we all know that YouTube can pull you down in a matter of seconds. They can take you down for whatever they call under the guise of community standards, which we all sign once we sign up for a YouTube channel. And they also very rightfully say that that's a big no-no. But obviously it does go on. And I wonder actually if somebody has found ways of working their way around to acquire more views or more subscribers by using services like that. And with the use of the VPN number, you can always, I presume, make it look like all of these different phones have come from different parts of the world. But I would think that YouTube would also have a mechanism in place to determine whether or not that was the case, that they were hiding behind a VPN. Yes, only a month, Jude, as I have op in July and have this cancer cut out, but at least I don't have any more chemo and radiation. Oh, that's horrible. Sorry, I'm sorry to hear that, Ian. That's amazing. Now in your other live grumpy, laughed out loud, you are too. I see you are doing good. Yeah, you're on both channels. A lot of you are on both channels, which is good to see. But it tells me that many of Fred. Hey, younger brother. Which one's that? That must be Ian, is it? I'm older than all of you. Right. Hi, big brother. So Ian is saying hi to Fred Farrell. And yes, be in 10 more days. Anyway, the whole essence of doing a live, I suppose, is really just to let people see who I am, what I sound like, I suppose, and whether or not I give you some hope. And I think with my thought for the day, it does become a little bit, well, I certainly wouldn't use the word tiresome, but it certainly becomes difficult sometimes to have a fresh thought in my mind. It's so easy with a YouTube channel that's been going for a number of years now. And I have noticed it, that even the other channels around that have been around and are bigger, much bigger than I am, they rehash the same subject over again. I don't mean that in a rude sense, but in the sense that they revisit, that's the word I'm looking for. They revisit the subjects that they, I suppose, got the best responses to. And of course, I got the best responses on British Expat, on a lot of the 700 odd videos that were taken down by She Who Cannot Be Mentioned. And it's disappointing because not only it's not so much that every channel has a long list of videos that they put up. I believe on British Expat, I think there's over 1,000, and I think there's over 300-400 on Grumpy. And to have them just disappear like that overnight, two things happen. One is that your algorithm change. They're re-affected by the responses that you get. And a lot of you who have come and joined both channels over the years often comment that they've had a look at an old one, or they've just discovered me in an older video that was put up. Stop by and see my wife, Richard Katia. Javier Esquer, are you okay? I hope so, unless it's Richard asking Xavier. Right. Anyway, Not a good idea to ask somebody else to stop by and see the wife unless you're a really good friend. We only have to point our thoughts to that of Randy and Rose. Somebody stopped by for Rose too, but unfortunately it was not quite what Randy wanted, maybe, allegedly. So, yeah, so what was I talking about? Anyway, as they say, if you forget, it can't be that important. But it is important to remember that not to allow negative thoughts that come out of some of the videos, including some of mine, to put you off the idea of planning or discovering whether or not the Philippines is a place for you. I think it's quite true to say that Ian would have no wish to go back, whether China, Germany, or England. And he's made the Philippines his home. And I think there's many of us that have. And in having said that, I think that for many of us, we've in effect burnt our bridges by the time we've come here. And some would say that's not a good thing. Some would say that it's a foolish thing. But for a lot of us, it was the only real option we had, because to break ties with where we were before, or to connect ourselves still to where we were before, is fraught with danger in the sense that you can always get a lull in your thoughts and think, oh, what if I went and did that? Or I went back to Australia or went back to New Zealand. It's never the same when you go back. I was always amazed how within 5 or 10 years that it spanned, I used to go back to the UK and visit my mother when she was alive, and my sister, my adopted sister. And each time I went back, it was a feeling of coming home. The smell of nettles is one thing that came to mind. The feel of a nettle leaving a sting on your skin is not really what you want, unless you can find a great big, what do they call them, like a bay leaf? I'm not sure what they're. Anyway, it's a big leaf that you screw up and you rub the green out of it, and it really does get rid of the sting of a nettle. But I was watching the video. It was by Simon Mathers. It's an old video done probably about 5 years ago, I believe. And it's his last day in Lowestoft. I don't know whether I've been to Lowestoft, but it could be any seaside area of England, you know, the old Pebble Beach or the very rough sand if you're lucky. And the overcast, dreary, almost depression in the sky that is shown in that video. And all you can see is really the seafront where he was staying with his wife. And before, I believe they were coming here or moving somewhere else anyway. And I thought to myself, isn't it funny how you can watch a video of somewhere you're familiar with, a country you're familiar with, and then you add to it the confusion that's going on in Europe and especially in England, politically wise. And you can't help but think, my God, I couldn't go back there. Not even really for a holiday. It would be so depressing. I remember when I was doing loft conversions, I had a lot of guys who came from Lithuania that I employed as carpenters and plasterers and gyp fixers. And I used to take them over to Bruge on a Sunday, 3, 4 of them, in my, what was then a Grand Cherokee Jeep. And we used to go over early in the morning and catch the ferry across to Calais and drive up to Bruges. beautiful little city, really. It's in Belgium, and it's considered the Venice of Holland, no, of Belgium, I should say. And it's a really, really lovely place to wander around. It's familiar with chocolate. It's also familiar for the fancy tablecloths and lace doilies. And of course, lots of tourists there. But of course, when we went there, it was out of season. It wasn't the mad rush. You drive into the city, park underground, massive underground, and you come up and you just wander around the history of Bruges and look over and you walk across little bridges and the water below, and even out of season there are a few boats going around taking tourists to make a little bit of money. But it also makes you realize that how different Europe is to England. It's almost like, the feeling when you fly, those that have flown into England, always amazes me how you fly in perfectly blue sky above you. The sun is shining, or the sun is coming up early in the morning, because it's early in the morning when you arrive in London from Australia or somewhere like that. And as you fly in, you're over cotton wool. You can't see anything on the ground. And then for about 4 or 5 minutes, the plane is descending through what is cotton wool. There's nothing, it's just white haze outside. And then suddenly you're below this carpet of white clouds that have become grey, and the misery of England below. Oh, it's quite depressing, really, because you're excited in one instance to be home. You're excited to be arriving finally at your destination. As you hang there in sequence with the other planes waiting to come in, and as you finally make the approach, there's that rush as you hit but you come into contact with the runway, and you think, we've survived all that 22,000 Ks. But when you travel to Europe, waking up in the morning at a Formula 1 hotel, or a ETAP hotel, there's a different feeling early in the morning. People walking around, picking up their early morning French bread rolls, or the long, what do they call them? Yeah, I can't remember what they call them. Anyway, baguette, like a baguette. And of course, a bag full of croissants, which are so common, certainly in France and parts of Belgium in the morning, along with a nice hot coffee. No milk, no sugar, just that and cheese and maybe a bit of pickle or a bit of deli meat for breakfast. Oh, yummy. It makes me want something now. But Earth Last Day Bible Channel. We have Formula 1 in France too. You do, I know. I frequented them each time I went there. Well, I went around Europe for 3 months in a camper van, and that was wonderful. You find that ETAP hotels in Germany, they don't have them. I don't believe they have them in Germany, but they are basically a functional room, usually with a double bed and a single bed above, and some have their own built-in shower in the room, but most have a corridor outside which has you just press the button and in you go, and it's cleaned, and everything is self-cleaned in there. And you go down in the morning and have either a continental breakfast or an American breakfast, one or the other. And it was relatively cheap per night. In the days when I was doing it, we were talking between 18 and 22 euros per night. which was considered quite cheap, certainly from that of a more upmarket hotel, motel. But lots of locals use them and they are really good. Where am I in the Philippines? Well, currently I'm in a region called Bulacan, which is about an hour's drive northeast of Manila, in the countryside, I suppose you'd call it. Hey, Grandpa. Hello, Roo. How are you? Hello, Roo. How are you? Now that sounds good, doesn't it? My views, your world. I have DJ Mini 3. Right, now that's the one after my son. He's got a DJ Mini 2. Now he tells me the Mini 2 does most of what the Mini 3 does, except it's a little bit more reliable than the Mini 3. So I don't know whether you've had that issue. Have you ever been to Cebu City? If the question is of me, no, I haven't. I haven't been to any other island apart from Luzon. And I will. I think it's important that we do travel a little bit around the country so that we get a better feel of what is really out there. Is the stereotype of old British men going to the Philippines true? Well, I suppose, Pop, depends on what the stereotype is. If the stereotype is that, I'm just trying to think, what would you call it? Let you tell me what you think the stereotype of English people. I find, and I know that there are Americans watching and have been watching and do watch because they think I have a go at them. I call certain groups of them out because I think that they need to be aware whilst they have this persona out there, their stereotype. And most Americans that you do meet are usually very polite, very courteous, and great people to talk to. I've got a number of them that ring me regularly, and we have chats for even up to an hour. But there are those that I will say that the lower class of American, just like there's lower class of English or Australian or Kiwis or even German. And I think that we all need to remember that certain things we have to remember when we come to the Philippines. And I do think that the English tend to keep a lower profile than that of Americans. And I put that down to the fact that if you are American, I think you'll understand what I mean. We in England are not brought up with the idea that we're the greatest nation, even if we've done 6 and 7 years worth of history lessons and learnt about the Spanish Armada and 1066, the Battle of Hastings. We're not brought up with the idea that we're the strongest, the best, the most beautiful, the most testosterone-filled group of people on this planet, which, of course, many Americans might espouse to. Hello, John. How are you? Good to see you. Hi. I'm from Malta. Oh, I know where Malta is. Next year, I'm thinking of coming to the Philippines, into Pampanga. Well, that's very close to myself and also Ian. So you'll have to keep in touch. Are the best women in Angeles City? Yeah. Well, I would have said not necessarily, because Angeles City is known as to many, it's taken on the label of almost like Sin City, only really because of Walking Street and numerous American channels that like to push it. Right, so pop. There are, Ian, pop goes the weasel. The mention of that word, I think, is probably not wise. So I would think that if the moderator doesn't see it, I certainly have. And I wouldn't say that the English are any more that word than any other nation, because it's part and parcel of everything. I will now remove that, which has been deleted by me, and now you know why. As I've said before, comments such as that will only be deleted, or in fact, next time something like that pops up, it may well end up being deleted from the channel. Yes, my views in the world, he failed. He did. He probably is busy online talking to someone else, maybe, or maybe he's having tea. Maybe a mall worker or a call center girl in Angeles, but not a bar girl. Yeah, that's fair comment, John. Fair comment. Is the Philippines unsafe compared to Vietnam and Thailand? Well, you're asking the wrong person, because I have been to those places, and I felt safe in both of them. But what I don't feel safe about is when you don't have the ability to communicate with people in the country as a whole. It would make it. It would tend to make it more difficult. So I would say that the Philippines, it would be safer. Hello, Dave. Best-looking women, in my opinion, are from Brazil. Well, I think that's quite true. Ted 82, is it safe in the Philippines for foreigners? Yes, I think so. I think you've got to keep your wits about you, no matter where you are and who you're talking to. So I think that, sorry, I'm trying to think, and I'm just realizing that I'm actually very, very hot. But then, of course, the girls tell me that. No, the fan, I was sort of feeling very overcome by the heat just then. Yes, no, TD82, I would say yes, it is. And Chris Financier, favorite video, question mark, favorite movie. Don't have one. Favorite, just trying to think of my favorite. I do like watching Netflix. I like watching the Danish and Swedish and Scandinavian TV thrillers. They're really good because you can't pre-guess. You can't always pre-guess the answer. The good majority of them can budget and keep good house, cook well, good features like that. Yes, I think you're right. But if you pick them too young, they probably can't cook that well. I must admit, my stepdaughter Nicole cooks extremely well, almost like a 5-star chef. So, yes, I think that would be. And 23B Rad, howdy. Now, that could well be somebody who's just joined. So, welcome. Anyway, what I wanted to do was to have a video, a live video, but what I really need to do is to take the time to have some sort of a preamble wish list beforehand, so that I don't just rant on just for the sake of it. So what I'd like to do is to wind this up. Sorry, but I'm hoping to be able to do it on a more regular basis, because I noticed that it does bring people to the channel that I didn't realize it was able to do. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming on both channels, and hope that both of you have enjoyed what we have had to put up. Me and my shadow, both of you. Look, see, this one, that one, and that one. See, isn't that amazing? So Guys, thank you again for coming off, and we'll catch you later. And bye-bye to my moderator, Ian, and to everybody else that's come and joined us, those that have greeted us maybe in replay. Welcome to you all, and I hope that you have a pleasant evening. Bye now.